Hey, what's up everyone, I'm Andrew, and in this video we have Acer Z5720, a laptop from 2008. I got this laptop with a broken display, without disk and RAM, but anything else is in okay condition. The case is a little bit dusty and covered with some color of printer, I believe, but still okay. I placed some RAM that I have for testing, and this machine turns to work just fine, except the cooling is much louder than usual. Well, let's start and do something with this old machine. Slowly these laptops are becoming old, and in some ways maybe obsolete. But with some changes, the older tech can be still good for some things. The main reason why laptops in general are overheating is the dirt and dust stuck to the heatsink. This is like a carpet, and this dust is blocking the fresh air to pass through and cool down the laptop hardware. The heatsink and the cooling fan for the older machines are easy accessible and removable, which is a great thing, because even with no experience, you can maintain your machine. I mean clean or change the thermal paste. The other thing that I like about the older hardware is the removable CPU and GPU. In case of some malfunction or if you want to do some upgrades, all is much easier compared with today's technology. Before I move to the front side, I remove the screws under the battery. These screws are holding one of the top plastics. And before I took out the plastic, I pushed the screen wide open to the max, and then I found a way from around to unlock the plastic clamps. The other clamps are much easier to release. The keyboard is easy removable as well. I had to pull the keyboard in the middle, and the keyboard is free. From below is a single flex cable, and that's all about the keyboard. The display bezel has 4 screws to the front, and all of the screws are behind the rubber pads. Carefully using a thin tweezers, I removed the pads first, and then I took out the screws. Removing the bezel many times may sound like it's just going to break, but this is very normal and usual. Now to the bottom side, we have 4 screws in a row. To the top side is a flex cable from the camera. And I can put down the top case on the table. From the back side of the display is the flex cable, and to the bottom side is the power cable. From the both sides of the hinges are 8 screws in total, I mean 4 to each side. The hinges are easily removable as well. They both have 2 screws from the top and 1 screw from the bottom. Basically, this is a note about disassembling. This laptop is pretty clean, and I don't need to disassemble the rest of the case. Well, now let's clean this machine and make it a little bit better. I start by cleaning the old thermal paste from the CPU. And to clean the thermal paste, I used cotton buds, 96% isopropyl alcohol, and brushes. While cleaning, I always leave the CPU in the socket, because to protect the CPU pins from below. Also, this is the safest way to clean most of the laptop or desktop CPUs. After I finished with cleaning the thermal paste, I took a vacuum cleaner, brushes and compressed air, and I start with cleaning the case from all sides around. The case has a very little dust, so cleaning is going much easier. After I cleaned the dust from the case, I took cotton buds and isopropyl alcohol, and I cleaned the slots and the ports on the motherboard. On a soft napkin, I put isopropyl alcohol and glass cleaner, and I start with cleaning the case. The dark color on the case is actually a powder from a printer. I have seen something similar before. This is easy to clean, sometimes need a little bit more cleaning, but after all, this is nothing to worry about. To clean the GPU, I use brushes, isopropyl alcohol and cotton buds. Just the usual things as always. This is AT Radeon HD 2600. This is 128MB GPU with DirectX 10 support. And this is an average to good GPU for that time. I mean for laptops. The desktops were far more powerful back then. Also, this is era before the Intel Core series, when the top CPU was Intel Core 2 Quad or Intel Core 2 Extreme. Well, the GPU looks clean and fine. But now I move to clean the cooling fan. I remove the top metal cover from the fan and I start with dry cleaning first. And after I remove the dust, I wash the fan using isopropyl alcohol. While I waited for the fan to get dry, I took the heatsink. Here, using brushes, cotton buds, and isopropyl alcohol, I removed the remaining thermal paste. And later, using alcohol and compressed air, I cleaned the airflow part from the heatsink. To clean the keyboard, on a soft napkin I place isopropyl alcohol, and carefully I remove the dark powder. Then, using a vacuum cleaner and brush, I clean the keyboard from all sides around. And as final part about cleaning, I clean the outer plastics from the laptop. I mean the top plastic with the mesh, the bezel, and the top case or the lid. And finally, all the parts are clean, shiny, and ready for the next steps. Before I start with assembling, I got a new screen. I already have this screen, and this is used screen that I left from one of my failed projects. Just it's a little dirty, so again I cross over one more cleaning. After I shine up this display, I start with assembling the laptop. First I mount the hinges from the both sides of the display. And then I place the display back to the lid. I connect all the cables and I return the screws to the bottom. Now I place the bezel and I return the screws and the rubber pads from around. After I finished with the lid, I took the bottom side. To the bottom side, I start with the GPU. I replace the damaged thermal pads and I mount the heatsink from the board together with the cooling fan. After I finish with the bottom side, I turn the laptop and I start with mounting the lid and connecting all the cables from this side. When I finish with the cables, I connect the keyboard and I place the plastic part from above the keyboard. Now let's add some missing parts, RAM and disk. As RAM, I will use 4 GB in total. Also, 4 gigs is the maximum that this laptop supports. And the next thing is the disk. Here I will go with 240 GB SSD. But because the disk mount is missing, I used part of a thin sponge. This is enough to keep the disk stable and safe. And also, this is a very simple and cheap solution to this problem. After all, I place the final plastic cover and the battery. And as well, once again, I have done one more dust off and shining up. And after making all these changes, we have something nicer than before. And a few words about this laptop. To this laptop I installed Windows 7. I can go even with a Windows 10, but the speed is going to be at a very low level. The Windows 7 on SSD is working pretty fine and fast. Also, I've tried to do some upgrades as well, but unfortunately, the GPU that I have is not working. I had one working before, but I gave it a long ago. But anyway, even with these some basic upgrades, this machine is still okay. This machine is good for some web browsing, watching movies, videos, listening to music, and basically anything available on the web. I mean, when you have web access, you can access to almost anything and learn many new things. Also, this machine is good for some other basic things. I mean, to work with some documents, using basic things such as an email or other basic communication tools. Gaming to this laptop is possible as well, but only to play some other games. I played some other games on this laptop and it was really fun, because the experience and the feeling are much different. Well, and this is all about this Acer Z5720. And I'm very glad because this machine is in function again. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope this video will give you inspiration and ideas to back some stuff in function again. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.